Hi, I'm Annie. Contact information is in the description. Today I want to talk about surrendering to the flow of life. This is something I'm not good at. I think it has to do with my functions and animals. Being play last makes me pretty controlling, and so it's hard for me to just surrender to the flow. Well, I read a book recently. It's actually one of the best books that I read in a long time. I read this book called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, and it was one of the best books I've read in a long time just because his writing's really clear and it was compelling. Like, I wanted to keep reading it. So he was this graduate student in economics. He had this spiritual awakening where he realized that he was the observer of his experience. And after that awakening, he got really into meditation. He had this inspired idea to go with the flow, to just say yes to whatever came into his life, to surrender to whatever came before him. Whatever life had to offer him, he would say yes to. And that was his unique spiritual path. And it was just fascinating the way that his life unfolded. One opportunity led to another opportunity, and he lived this really rich, exciting life that was probably beyond anything that you could choose or design for yourself. And for me, it was really a page turner. Metaphorically, I was listening because I do audiobooks. I wasn't actually reading it and turning pages. But I was thinking about the idea of surrendering to the flow of life and why I am so bad at it. And it can be even little things. Like, a client asked me recently if I could teach guitar. He knew of a young boy, maybe like a preteen boy, that wanted guitar lessons. And I immediately said no. I could probably teach him guitar. I think it's right that I said no. It's just interesting how automatic that response is. So I've been playing guitar since I was 12, but I just look up the stuff on YouTube. I don't have any special knowledge. Like, I don't really know music theory, and I'm probably doing it wrong, and I practice inconsistently, and I wouldn't know like the best way to teach someone how to play guitar. Somebody should probably get like a proper teacher and like do scales and stuff up and down the neck, which is something I don't do, which I should do. So I just don't think I'm the best person. I mean, I can teach him to play all the chords, but you can also literally just Google that. Like, it's not that hard. I don't have any special knowledge. And also, I have this lead consume dilemma of already doing too many things. Like, I feel like I'm just spinning plates. Like, right now, I'm focused more on sewing because I'm making clothing for the fall and winter for myself. And because my energy is focused on that, I've totally neglected my ceramics work, which is also important to me. And then I also make videos for YouTube and try to stay consistent with that. I also have my coaching clients and, developing my coaching philosophy and coaching studies. And all of these things take time, and my energy feels really divided. So it's this lead consume dilemma. So if somebody new comes into my orbit and says, hey, do you want to do this? Or like a new idea, new inspiration comes up, I've just sort of like become afraid of new inspirations because I already have too many inspirations. So the guy asked me if I would be interested in teaching someone how to play guitar, and I said no. And I do think that was the right choice. But it's stuff like that. Like, this guy, Michael Singer, who wrote this book, The Surrender Experiment, he would just say yes to everything. Sounds exhausting. And, I'm also like really controlling. So he was saying yes to things and giving up his personal control. So I want to control my experience. But recently, like 4-6 weeks ago, this happened 2 times. I had this intense knowing that there is no free will. Like, I knew for sure there was no free will. So like, how does that fit in with trying to control things? I don't know. And this was a vision kind of thing. Not exactly a vision because it wasn't visual. It was a knowing in a hypnagogic state. So a lot of times when I'm falling asleep at night, I go into this weird brainwave state that it isn't awake, it isn't asleep, and it isn't dreaming. It's just a moment, right before you fall asleep, where I sometimes get these knowings or downloads or visions that are incredibly abstract. Most of the time, I can't translate the understanding from the abstract form into language. It's just not possible. These are like downloads of concepts and knowing that are not translatable. In this case, when that happened, I knew that the message was that there is no free will, and I knew it for real. But then as the days progressed, moving away from that, it's kind of unbelievable. And of course, we all live our lives as if there is free will. So I don't know. And you can look at this from, an NT science perspective if you want to. There are neuroscientists who can talk to you about how there is actually no free will. So you can look into that if if you want, I'm not gonna explain it from a logical perspective because I'm not a rocket surgeon. I'm just, talking about a concept. So how does this idea of there's no free will fit into my play last controlling nature? I don't know. It's a problem. But it's also a growth opportunity to look at ways that I can surrender and say yes to what life puts in front of me and step into the flow of life. And I heard the metaphor recently that if there's waves coming at you, you don't try to push the waves back. You just surf the waves. So it's like stepping into the flow of life. Well, that same client also asked me if I would like to go on a trip with him, a day trip. I don't normally go on day trips with clients, but I've known him for 15 years that we've been working together. He's a really nice guy. He's an elderly gentleman. He's a homegrown Oregon boy and he likes adventures. And I don't go places. I don't particularly like leaving home. So my adventures are more conceptual. I like creative explorations in my own mind and in my own house and with my art supplies and, projects and creativity. But I don't really like the discomfort of leaving my home base and the unknown of even going up to Portland and dealing with the traffic and the unfamiliar scenery or, going out and exploring places. But I do a lot better if someone else is driving me. Like when I've gone on adventures with my partner, I feel like I don't need to make all the decisions and process all the chaos that's coming in, if someone else is driving. Anyway, I told my client I've never been to Crater Lake and he thought it was such a shame because, it's one of the most beautiful places in the world and he wanted to take me to Crater Lake. When he said that, of course, I have this initial energetic thing that says no because I don't like to deviate from my schedule. I like to be at home. It would mean an entire day of not working, not seeing clients, but also not working on creative projects. I'm just doing creative stuff every day. I'm addicted to it, working with ceramics, music, or sewing clothing, or making videos. So there was this energetic response that said no, but I also knew that that was a moment, that was a growth opportunity, and I knew that I had to say yes because he's a client that I've worked with for so long. I'm not particularly social, so I would say he's probably one of my best friends, and it's an unlikely match. We are very, very different. He's much older than me. We're politically really different. What we do have in common is that I'm pretty sure he's lead SI and I have masculine SI, double activated masculine SI fourth. He likes to tinker and work with things and he refurbishes antique cars and, he's always doing creative projects every day. So I feel like we have that in common. And he's just a nice guy, So I said yes. And I'm going to Crater Lake with him in September and it'll just be a day trip. So that's one growth opportunity that I took where I said yes to an opportunity. Other things come up all the time that I say no to and I feel like controlling and I have this idea that I can control probably a lot more than I actually can. So anyway, this book, The Surrender Experiment, I thought it was just really compelling. I liked the story of it. It was amazing to see how one opportunity led to another and just to observe this guy stepping into the flow of life and a whole bunch of amazing things happened to him. And he also wrote another book called The Untethered Soul, which is really amazing. So anyway, if that sounds intriguing to you, check it out. And I hope y'all are having a good week. Bye.